Gordon Brand gives some certain amount in 2014 for Save the School initiative. Now that happened during the Chibok girls. The idea was, to ensure protection of schools. People had applied, consultants have applied for Save the School initiative. $10 million was given cash by Gordon Brand as the envoy of education to UN. And up till now, there are no bodies that are asking what has happened. How was that money spent? So nobody asks those questions. And then beyond even those things, can we even come to say, can we come to that level where we say, maybe we are not even talking about the money, let's talk about the personnel. Who is your commissioner of education? We are not asking those questions. So you just come, do whatever you want to do. So for me, that has been our effort. You see online, we walk around it. Sometimes you do sincere observation on radio and you find yourself in the airport in Abuja and people are harassing you for no reason.
Because you said things.
Because you discuss a certain topic on air.
And then the next thing, they are harassing you at the airport.
You
have not attacked you in London.
Of course, I pray not. And it's not like anybody is financing these things. No, you drop proposals all over the place. Nobody finances it. But I think so. It's not like we are trying to.
Now, I'll come to ask you why. As a follow up to what you just said now, has it at any time bothered you that, to finance projects that are like pageants, they are easy to get. It's easy to get sponsors. Do you have people who are sponsoring, who are drawing up proposals for concerts and all of those things that are like colleagues in other organizations? And they are, how would you compare the rate at which they get approval and sponsors to you that is drawing up education agenda?
Express approval. They get express approval. As I speak to you, when we wanted to start our radio program, and that is still going, off my head, we have dropped 42 proposals. No one single one has gotten approval.
For education?
For education. But now, as hobby, of course, I love fitness and the rest. And then you discover that you put up a proposal for a workout, and then you go to Instagram, you call some of the people that say they're influencer, and you tell them, okay, we want to do workouts in Unilag Indoor Sports Center. If you get me a sponsor, you take 70% and I keep 30%. And you discover that they'll get approval expressly. And then you that are discussing education, nobody is hearing what you are. Nobody is hearing. One of the things last year, a Nigerian bank said I was going to go off air. Now, I'll tell you what happened, Olo.
What does that mean? You go off here means what?
That they will do everything to ensure that my radio program does not air again.
And why? What did you do?
We celebrate people in art, but we don't even celebrate people that have gone the extra mile in education. And then there were these guys from Unilag, two of them actually. I think they finished best together, 4.98. So I invited them to my radio program. Now, I am ashamed to say this. For the first time, even though I'm an advocate for education, I told myself, God, I do not want a first class. Because I invited these guys to my radio program, and on their way out, they were asking me for transportation. Because they do not even have the transportation to live. In fact, one of them that finished very highly from engineering said he wanted to put to use all those he had learned. He had not only studied in Unilag, he went to Aptech, he went to NIT. So the guy has, all the programming skills. He wanted where he will implement those things. And he has been posted to his school under NYC.
So, as an engineer?
Yes. So what I did, that tweet is still running. I tweeted a few banks. I tweeted MTN. I said, okay, you give out 3.5 million, you give out Jeep to people. How are you going to appreciate these people? These are Unilag best graduating students, 4.98. Some of us went to school. We know that is no mean feat. And then some of them, and First Bank said, thank you for contacting us. So I knew that was automated. Because if they've read the content of what I tweeted, I do not see the reason for that diplomatic reply. And so one of the bank invited me, and so they love what I'm doing. I should come over. I went, and they said, okay, they want to support these guys. I said, okay, brilliant. And you know what happened? They gave me T-shirt and mug that I should give that to them, and then I should talk about them on air. And I said, are you? I mean, for the sake of whoever is listening, I said, what exactly?
Corporate,
Yes,
corporate sport promo.
I mean, what exactly is happening? I mean, they were not saying I should just give it to them. They said they want me to talk about it on air. Do you know?
To give out that they gave you
Yeah.
mug and shirts.
No, that they gave out. I mean, okay, you were coming there where the fight started. I said, should I go on air and say you gave them T-shirt that I can print in Shomolu in Lagos for 800 and more? And they say no, that I should said they gave us something to first class student as their CSR. And I said that does not make any sense. And I tweeted about it, and they said I should go bring down my tweet. And I said it was not possible. I did not label you. Of course, we have recordings of all that transpire. And then they were ready to go the extra mile with me. So that is how bad it is. Those students up until now. And of course, you remember the 5.0 guy in Unila. You interviewed him. If you want to ask where that guy is today, of course, you know the primary company he had worked for, they are no longer in Nigeria. If you follow the story, I mean, so nobody support this thing. The school inspired tour. The idea is corporate executives. I mean, education is a social cause. We should not forget that government in itself cannot sponsor education solely. There is no economy in the world that is the responsibility of fixing education or making on government. Somehow, somewhere, someone is paying. And that's why I've always said that there is no model of free education. When people come and say, I'm giving you free education, I mean, I use the slang that say, nah, them. Because education can never be free. Education is not cheap. However, somewhere, someone is paying because education is a social cost. But our value, the social giving in Nigeria is absolutely, I mean, I do not want to use the word that is coming to mind. So, I mean, the corporate organization, the corporate headquarters in on the Lekis of this world, you can walk down from one head office to the next. But as long as you do not know one person that will influence your proposal, nothing is going to happen. So, how do you imagine a young man that has dropped 42 proposals?
Maybe you should. Who has been dropping those proposals? Maybe I should. Do you have somebody that knows how to make Oga happy?
I do not have. We're a young organization with 11 member of staffs. So sometimes we see our website, we check who is the corporate communication manager, and then we write, and then we go to the office. Sometimes some of them will call you. I will tell you something I do not want to forget, Olo. I was in Angola going for e-learning Africa Summit. And then, I mean, on a connecting flight, I met this guy. The guy just saw me and said, how are you? Okay, he said, how far? And I said, he was speaking like a Nigerian. And I said, fine. And then he said, which one are you doing? Diplomatic. Let's do Niger way. That was his exact word. And then we started playing. And then I was surprised that the e-learning African Summit I was going to attend, I mean, his company that has a branch in Nigeria is sponsoring that show, that event. And I reached out to him. I said, we've been dropping proposals, nothing happened. And he said he's a second in command globally. What they do, they only approve based on the advice of their Nigerian ESCO head here. And that what he can do for me, he can forward me the contact of their Nigerian head. I said, fantastic. So for me, I felt I've gotten it right. And then I started corresponding with this woman. She said, I'll get back to you. I'll get back. One day I tried calling. She just picked the phone and called me and said, do not call my line again. Do not send me any email. Do not come to office again. If you want to fix education, go to UNESCO. And then when Itafaji happened, this woman, because she was very influential, I saw her on one of the TVs. She was saying education cannot be fixed in isolation. All the major companies, what did they give to education? And she works in a fast-moving consumer goods company as the head. And I have had direct encounter. So many a time, the hypocrisy amongst us is one of those things you will not understand. So we run education full time. We run an office. We have an open book that we can show you every amount that we've spent. Nothing happened. But have you ever wondered some of the musicians, they set up education foundation one day, and then the next day they already have millions of donations from everywhere among their caucus. So we do not want to engage the people that know the road, the people that are doing these things. We want people who can just come, bamboozle people, speak. I mean, we can do better.
All right, let me, as we round off now, I want to quickly say this. Sometimes way back, like I saw there was two, in fact, within the space of 1 week, two major things happened. The first one was Unilag debate competition. It was thorough. I think you are aware. We did this together now. And then the lady that emerged the best out of that rigorous debate tournament was given 50,000 and a laptop. The following week, they concluded Miss Unilag beauty pageant, and the winner went on with a brand new car. One ear making company came, gave her endorsement deal. She had all expense paid trip to South Africa and all of those perks, plus I think 5 million naira cash prize. And then we were comparing beauty versus brain. That controversy set out of Unilag at the time. You are aware. But subsequently, I went out to ask students on campus, say, okay, how does this affect or impact you? Some said, okay, I will start investing in beauty and makeup kits more than in books, because this one is more rewarding than books. But others were like, no, come. The reason they are doing this is that corporate organizations will sponsor pageants more, is because they get returns. That's in education. If you put money in it, it is sinking. It's not necessarily going to give you return. But whatever we give incentive to continue to blow. Like, entertainment is blowing. It's blossoming because they give more to it. Now, what I want to ask you is this. Is there a model to make education give back? Now, I know it's some kind of social welfare service. Maybe you don't expect necessarily that it will give back to you immediately. Maybe it will give back to the country later in future when you have well-educated people as citizens. But the question is, from your own experience, having been doing this over the years, is there a model that will make sponsors get at least something back from financing education? We have a couple of, they may not be more, but there used to be caliber competition and a few others, Is there a way they are getting back money, or is it just CSR?
I think very brilliant question, and you have said it already. First, whatever I'm going to recommend, we must come to that consciousness that education in itself, you don't invest in it. Even from a business perspective, we have entrepreneurs in education. You don't put in money and expect immediate profit like you will have in other subsectors. It does not work that way. However, the leadership of our education, that is where it starts with. Now, of course, I work in education, but many a time, if you get to a room full of conventional educators, they want you to keep quiet when they are talking. And so what we've done is we have accumulated so much knowledge, but the society cannot feel the direct impact. Now, if you ask me, like I've always recommended, and I've written about it a couple of times, I do not believe that every university in this country should be offering every course. We're a country with so many problems. Is there any way we can even divide and say, okay, Unilag, because you are a metropolitan university by the siting of Lagos, what you are going to do for us is to get us the managers of our economy, business leaders.
Because it is located around the lagoon. So, okay. No, I'm serious. Transportation problem in Nigeria is, especially in Lagos, is a killer. And what about waterways?
Waterways.
transportation.
I remembered in old Unilag, I mean, when we have Professor Tolu Odugbemi and then Fashola was the governor. I remember a certain day that they were saying they were going to sign agreement for the ferry that would bring people from Ikorodu. Those things we are not looking at. And so for me as an investor, I want to look at and say, okay, what direct investment what direct impact and feedback am I getting? Now, if you go to the Northeast, I mean, we have professors of environmental science, we have so many names. But what if we say professors in Nnamdi Azikiwe University, I mean, all those universities in the north, in the southeast, try to get a solution to this erosion thing. Work with your governors. Let's see the direct impact. And so when we talk about disruption in education, everybody thinks it's something very high. Now, there is a direct disconnect. One of my mentors said he does not read Nigerian newspaper any longer. He prefers reading Complete Sport, that he gets joy there because of what you see in the paper. What that tells you is that even our younger people do not follow what is happening. But we consult for a particular school. And so on Wednesday, I mean, after June 12 and all that, on Thursday when they return to school, we gave them a simple assignment that the president have said they will move 100 million people out of poverty. That equates to 10 million people in a year. Do you agree? You know what that single assignment did for these students? They had to go and read President Buhari's speech. They have to understand different things. And one of them came to me and says, "Sir, you always do education." And then he started giving me some statistics that if 100 million people are going to be moved out of poverty and then 10 million people in a year, that means that we have to create jobs for 330,000 teachers a year. All put together, how many teachers do we have currently? So to go to your questions, the education industry have to bring some glee. I mean, when you enter lecturers' offices, you know that this is a lecturer office, because at best it is planks that are put together. I mean, some of them cannot even move out. So there's a concept called edutainment. We have to put some flair in education to make it attractive. And then we must give direct feedback. If this is what I'm doing, this is how I want to feel it. I have always argued, I felt bad when Mark Zuckerberg came to Nigeria. And I have said this oftentimes. And when he came to CC Hub. And he never knew that there was somewhere called Unilag close to CC Hub.
Maybe it didn't matter to him,
because there was nothing that matters in there. But Unilag is supposed to have, I mean, a very vibrant computer science department and then an engineering faculty that is supposed to be in tune with what is happening.
At least researching into current coding systems.
We are doing this interview in Yaba now, where they are trying to call the Yabacon Valley, the Silicon Valley of Nigeria. So most of the businesses around here, they are head of IT. Some of the owners, I mean, where in my office, we have smaller businesses around us. And these things are owned by former students of Unilag. But now, as an institution, they do not understand the language of collaboration. Have you ever tried dropping proposals to work with these schools, to work with the education industry? I mean, sometimes you laboriously go and drop things and you do not get feedback. A clear case in point, e-Learning Africa in Rwanda last year, September, we happen to be media partners. We're sending correspondents from Nigeria to Angola to other countries, and their ministers of education came. We live in Nigeria. We went to Abuja a couple of times from Lagos, spending money, and there was no representative, and there was no excuse given.
From Nigeria?
From Nigeria. So
okay, that was in Rwanda.
Yes, and it was supposed to be an emancipation of the continent, because we must not work in isolation. When an American tells you Africa is, I'm going to Africa, whereas they are going to Egypt or they are coming to Nigeria, I mean, they are classifying 54 countries as one country. But what should matter? I mean, it's time for us to come back and say, what is working? Any country I go to around the continent, I go to their public school to see what is happening. I've been to public school classroom in Ghana, in Rwanda, in Angola, and I can give you my feedback. We have to up our game as a people. Now, if you are doing education, if you are doing education event, there's nothing that said it will be boring. If you are doing a presentation and then so let me not even dance around with so many reply. Where we have to start from to stop this thing is the inaugural lecture. Every university in Nigeria, I mean by decree from the NUC, have what they call inaugural lecture almost every year. And then Unilag, for instance, sorry I'm referencing them, but they are close to what we are discussing. So you have professors of political science giving inaugural lectures. You have those of them from the Faculty of Business Administration. But during that inaugural lecture, you did not see anybody from banks. You did not see anybody from CBN. You will not see anybody from insurance company. That is not how it works even in neighboring Ghana here. If there is an inaugural lecture in a particular discipline, say finance, they will go to all the major banks and drop letters with the MD and ask for a representative. Because these guys are doing the direct work, but there is the place of research in every organization, in every country. So according to statistic, of course, we do not have data to prove, but the statistic I saw somewhere say our investment in R&D as a country is 0.002%. So you cannot survive with that type of investment. We have countries that are doing 3.5% on research and development. So, I mean, this is some of the things we have to do. And then I know a company that is saying they want to do a state for education. And we're hoping that works. So those are some of the things you do. Sometimes these organizations even bring teachers to come and show themselves. It is that way you get feedback. So what we've been doing is when you give investment in education, we cover it up. Thank God for what you are doing. How many times do you see media that try to look into our university system and say this is a professor of curriculum, this is the direct impact of what this person is doing? There's a Nigerian professor that, in my own thinking, that guy should deserve a national award. You know what he did? He was the dean of the Faculty of Education in a certain school, and one day he walked to the vice chancellor and said, if you did not apply to study education from UTME, that he will not accept you into the Faculty of Education. And if you ask me, that is a superstar. The education of every country is as good as its teachers. Now, what happens in our faculties of education, our institute of education, and the colleges of education? It is the people that have lost hope and tried in other fields that ends up in education. So those key innovation does matter.
Well, I mean, we will continue this subsequently, because if you say we should continue now, I have many questions. I know if you say we should continue now, it will be too long, and then it will be boring to a lot of people, even though it is interesting. But because of the duration, now we'll break it. We'll continue, and I want to say, if you are just joining, I mean, do a playback, repeat play, so that you can understand the conversation from beginning till the end. This is Elvis Boniface. You operate alongside other people, an organization called EdiGist, and they have been working assiduously across the country, trying to put students on the right path and then to draw up proper academic agenda, not only in Nigeria but also across Africa. So, but what he has for us tonight is feedback of what he has been experiencing so far. All of you, your comments, please drop them from what you have heard. What is your feeling? What is your own thoughts? Let us have them. This is Objectv Media, and if you're just joining and you are not already subscribed to this channel, you are missing a lot of things, because we are just about to take a very big flight, 100,000 into altitude. Nigeria is going to the future, and it is starting from